Hey y'all, let me show you how I make my favorite sandwich bread. I make this once a week and it's so good, I eat it every single day. First, start off by adding 1 cup of warm water and 1 tablespoon of sugar and mix. Next, add 2 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast and mix that. Let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes until it becomes frothy like this. Next, add 4 1/3 cups of flour. I use bread flour. Then 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of warm water, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1/2 tablespoon of white vinegar, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and that's it. That's all the ingredients I use for this recipe. I like to let this sit for just a little bit and then mix it around with a spoon or a knife before mixing it with the mixer. I just let this mix for about probably 5 to 10 minutes. If I need to scrape some of the flour off the sides of the bowl, I'll do that as well. But after about 5 to 10 minutes, it'll start looking a little like this. Get a bowl and add some butter to it. That way that the dough does not stick to it completely. Add the dough to the bowl and cover with plastic wrap. I like to let this sit for at least 1 hour, sometimes an hour and a half, and it should look like this. And give it a good punch. That's my favorite part when making bread. Next, you'll need to flour your surface and then add the dough to the surface. I like to go ahead and cut this in half. That way I make 2 loaves of bread with this one recipe. Add the other half back to the bowl with butter and go ahead and start rolling out this one. I only roll this a few times and sometimes I'll fold it over and roll it again. I want to try to get this as best I can to a rectangle shape, but as you can see here in this video, I did not do anything near a rectangle, I don't think. If it starts to stick to the rolling pin, go ahead and add you a little bit of that flour to it to help it not stick to that. And after you've rolled it a few times, go ahead and grab a baking dish. I like to add butter to mine. I got 2 of these dishes at Walmart, and I just add butter to them, and then I start rolling the dough. Now, as I'm rolling it, you can see I'm using my pinkies to kind of tuck in the side pieces, so that will kind of make it more into a loaf shape. So just roll it up the best you can. It does not have to be perfect. And then once you've got it rolled up, go ahead and add that to the dish with the butter. And I also cover this with plastic wrap again because I'm going to be letting it set in this dish for 1 hour. After I've got the first one done, I'm going to go ahead and roll up the second one and put it in the second dish. Once you've got those 2 in the dishes and covered up with the plastic wrap, go ahead and let those sit for 1 hour. Once the 1 hour is almost up, I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 375. This is what the dough should look like after about an hour. Once your oven is preheated, go ahead and put both dishes into the oven and bake at 375 for 35 minutes. This is what it'll look like after the 35 minutes. Once it's come out of the oven, I immediately go ahead and top it off with some butter. This helps it kind of look a lot better in my opinion, and it makes it a little softer. As you can see here, there's a big difference on how they look between the one that's buttered and one that was not. So go ahead and butter both of those up, and I'll let them set and cool off as long as I can before cutting them. You definitely want to let it cool off before cutting into them because they can be really hot. Now this is from the next morning after I let it cool off overnight. Go ahead and cut into that and enjoy. I think it looks really good and it tastes so good. I have tried other recipes, but this one is by far my favorite. Hope y'all enjoy.